It's their way at lashing out at society by pushing back on societal norms because they think society sucks. Now, hopefully there's nothing on here that will get me like thrown off of YouTube, but this is 4chan, boards.4chan.org/poll, POL. This is politically incorrect, or poll, or 4chan for short. 4chan is an image board with like a whole bunch of different like sub areas, mostly devoted to video games and anime and blah, blah, blah. It was founded like 2003. It's basically a pretty big pillar of the legacy internet. Now, it's not the most popular platform out there for this kind of thing. That probably would still go to Reddit. A lot of people are on Twitter, like exchanging images and chatting and having dialogue. This is anonymous, though. That's one of the things that made it very famous. Anonymous and a very unique user experience that attracted a very particular kind of basement dweller. This attracted what people on the left in parlance would call incels, involuntary celibates, or mostly just like autistic, youngish men who wanted to watch anime and have waifus and play video games. And part of the root of Donald Trump's online support absolutely 100% started here. And why is that? Well, they very astutely identified early on, like we're talking early 2015, that Donald Trump's platform was atypical. When you look back at other political platforms, other parties, that he wasn't of the Republican Party. He was just going to run in it. And he had a very strong message, one that these people objectively looked at and said, well, that makes a ton of sense. Like, yes, we should deport all illegal aliens. Yes, we should crack down on China. Yes, we should build a wall. And no, that's not racist. And because these people, especially young men, I'm sorry, they tell racist jokes. They are misogynistic. And a lot of it is being edgelords. But edgelording has a very important role to play in online discourse. It just does. Not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it has an important role to play. And that's what they do on Politically Incorrect. They try and gross each other out. They try and make each other laugh. They try and come up with edgy stuff. And a lot of times they come up with some pretty intelligent things that changes psychology in America. Like, these are the people that came up with the "it's okay to be white" thing that went all over college campuses. Now, these people were the ones where the Pepe the Frog memes came from, and they were the ones that, were the core of what later became part of the Donald at Reddit, reddit.com/r/Donald, the largest Trump supporting community on the internet. And this really took off back in late 2015. So 4chan is where the Trump stuff like incubated first. And if you look back, you can't really go look and see, but there's like, I just picked some random day in the middle of 2016, in February 2016. And what do you see? You see a post from Politically Incorrect on the Donald. So what was happening is a lot of the people who were on Politically Incorrect, and like, this is shock humor. This is, I could literally scroll down this page, half a page, and I would find a racist cartoon that would get me kicked off YouTube. In fact, I'm just going to flip to a different page and look. Yep, there's one about the Jews. So yeah, you can't, it's not for the faint-hearted. So that's why the Donald was important. It had the ability to access the much more what they call normie crowd on Reddit and indoctrinate them in Donald Trump's platform using ideas from 4chan, spread by people from 4chan, sanitized in a way that could appeal for more people. There was literally a pipeline of memeology from 4chan to the Donald to Twitter. And that's literally, I think, why Donald Trump won. This is, if he didn't have this is how everybody knew when they saw the video of Hillary Clinton that she got chucked in a van like a side of beef. Where did that word come from? Why did everybody say that? Well, it's because it was a top post on here, and that's the thing that people found funniest and upvoted the most. And that went and cross-pollinated across Twitter. So that's how it works. And we all know the story. I did a whole video about it. This got shut down. But my point is that this is wildly over the top, edgelordy. It always has been. It always will be. It is today. There is no censorship period whatsoever. It's all anonymous shock humor. And this, if I were to grade it, if this was like an F minus on the scale of like social acceptability, this would be like a D probably. And it got better as it went. It probably got up to a C as Reddit cracked down on it. But you could, even back then, even with the normies on Reddit, if you scroll down this, it's like, oh, yep, there's a racist joke. Yep. Well, like, why? It was because young men are forming the core of this movement and they're angry. This is about anger. People on 4chan are mad. They feel disaffected. They've been cast off by society. They're shut out of the dating scene. They're ridiculed. They're closed out of the job market. They had a really high social status, just historically speaking, and they've been shoved and relegated into. And some of this started with Gamergate. There was a very anti-male blowback, especially in the gaming community, the kind of person that goes to 4chan. All of this stuff has an impact. Gamergate led to these kind of outbursts on 4chan. They moved 4chan to the right, at least partially. That affected the Donald Trump online community. This got to millions of people. This was the second biggest political subreddit behind politics, which is full of absolute naked communists. So then you have Twitter. And where is Twitter now on the scale of social acceptability? I'm going to be honest here, and I'm going to say probably C minus. It's actually worse than later the Donald. And I just say worse, meaning like if you were going to objectively catalog the number of things that are determined by an algorithm to be racially and socially and or misogynistic, unacceptable. And I'll use this as an example because this is Brandon Tatum. I don't know him. I don't know him well, but I do know that he made news recently for making a very overt and advertised trip to Israel, paid for probably by the Israeli government. I'm just assuming. He went with some other Christians. They were spit on by some people over there. And he came back and said, you know, we had a great trip. We only got spit on like once or twice or something like that. I don't know. But that's what people are calling him out because they're saying, well, I mean, just look, there's this is the $7,000 Israeli poster meme. This is another $7,000 meme. This is this stuff racist? I don't know, but here's a gay kiss with Bibi Netanyahu and Brandon Tatum, and it's everywhere. And so, look, a check from AIPAC for $7,000. And so the reason that this is important is because what is this? This is the dark underbelly of the internet. What is this? This was an echo chamber that was banned. And there's a new one, and it's still an echo chamber in a dark corner of the internet. This is the town hall of America. It's open discussion forum, and it is awash with things that are no longer being censored and are increasingly getting bold. And so when I look at what happened in these things, in this chat, in this Politico stuff, I see worse on Twitter every single day. And so this is the new reality that I think our social discourse is not going to be able to avoid. You can't just look at these things and say, oh man, it was a bunch of evil Republican, racist, misogynist, rapist leaders in a group chat, you know, with their tongues in their cheeks, just loving their little risque they can be. No, this is what discourse is becoming like. This is the new trend. This is the new future. Taking any one of these topics, like for instance, Israel, if you go back 12 months on Twitter, it is unrecognizably different than it is today. And so it's almost like, and I don't use this word in a derogatory manner, I'm saying like people are noticing and discussing things that they were not before. And on this open forum, where if I go, I can find John Thune, and yep, he's there, the leader of the Senate. I can go to Chuck Schumer, and he's there, you know, the Senate minority leader. And if I go on one of his chats, I guarantee you I don't have to scroll down very far until I see people saying some things. I don't even know what that is. So this is wild. So you have basically, in my opinion, the Overton window being affected very drastically by JD Vance just in the last couple of days. unwilling to take these people and sacrifice them for the name of social decorum that doesn't exist anymore. That's the thing. And what is driving this? Anger. In my opinion, it's anger. It's humor because people are angry. It's their way at lashing out at society by pushing back on societal norms because they think society sucks. And this is a new reality because the left is doing it by being violent. The right is doing it by being, well, just traditionally what things on the right like tend to do when this kind of behavior happens. When people get upset and angry, they lash out at the people they think are causing the problems. And because they're not sure specifically by the name who those people are, or because there are statistics that make them think they know who the people are, and yet they're not allowed to talk about those, they're repressed, they're hidden, they've been censored for talking about those things, then they generalize and they joke and they use dark humor, and it creates a situation like this. And in my opinion, when you look at the Overton window, which is the window in which discourse is socially acceptable, it is becoming increasingly socially acceptable. I mean, this is where we're at. This is Stone Toss comment. Oh, your biggest comic, your biggest group chat got leaked. Your bigot group chat got leaked. Oh, well, yours is public. And so that's the thing, right? It's like, okay, what do we know? Some people who are at the core of the conservative movement have been exposed as saying some really risque stuff in private. Well, a lot of it's being said in public, and the left is saying violent things overtly in public as well. So I think that brings us back to this sort of my new political spectrum, the four quadrants, and we've talked about this at length. But when you have people in the green who want to burn the system down, they don't really care that other people's feelings are going to get hurt by using insensitive language, because we have free speech and it's just words, it's not violence. It really isn't. Now the left thinks that words are violence. They've been taught that, many of them. And so we know that those people are in a system that is either committed very highly to authority trust. In my opinion, this is most of your normie Democrat voters. They still trust authority, and they think that the people that they've given authority to are pure as the driven snow. And so grift tolerance isn't a thing for them. They just want their people in charge. They got to get Hegseth out of there and get one of their guys in charge of the military. That's how they think. And obviously, insensitive words are bad because an expert would never use insensitive words, and they're in positions of authority. And so obviously they have a societal trust or whatever. I don't know. I'm not in their minds. But then people in the purple are also on the left, which is, well, they are slaves to a new system that needs to take over the existing one. And they're going to use whatever tool available in their toolbox in order to exert the influence of this system on the existing status quo. And if that means taking the people in the Greens' anger and using it as a tool against them, they're going to do that. And that's what you're going to see. So I do think that this literally describes everything. And the people in the blue are in a totally different world than the green. And so they don't understand the anger. They look at all of the posts on Twitter about $7,000 Israeli checks, and they probably don't even understand because they haven't been following it. It hasn't been explained to them. They have a person that comes and talks to them and, represents the influence of that particular, like, they're in a total different world, a complete authority trust and complete investment in a system that has served them well and not the people in the green.